Have you ever wondered what happened to Jesus' disciples after his death by crucifixion? Well, the answers may surprise you. From fleeing persecution to spreading the gospel, these 12 faithful followers played an integral role in the early Christian church. In this video, we will delve into the fascinating lives of Jesus' disciples post-crucifixion and learn about their tribulations and works. Before we continue, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates. After the crucifixion of Jesus, the disciples went through a lot. They were scared and confused, not sure what to do next. But then, Jesus miraculously appeared to them, showing that he had risen from the dead. In Matthew 28:16-20, Jesus tells his disciples to go and make more disciples, spreading the good news to the world. They faced many challenges and hardships, but remained faithful to Jesus' teachings. Through their efforts, Christianity grew and became a worldwide faith. The disciples' bravery and determination continue to inspire us today to share the love of Jesus with others. Let's start with James the Greater, the eldest of the 12, who was the first apostle to be martyred. James's fate was sealed when Herod Agrippa, the ruler of Judea at the time, decided to crack down on the growing Christian community. Encouraged by Jewish leaders who viewed the disciples as a threat, Agrippa ordered James to be beheaded. This tragic end only served to strengthen the resolve of the other disciples and the growing Christian community. As the Bible tells us in Acts 12:2, so he had James, the brother of John, put to death with the sword. Moving on to Peter, the outspoken disciple who became one of the most influential figures in the early Christian church. Peter's journey after Jesus' crucifixion was a roller coaster ride of ups and downs. After initially denying knowing Jesus 3 times during the trial, he experienced a powerful resurrection appearance from Jesus that restored his faith and launched him into a new phase of his life. In the years that followed, Peter became a fearless evangelist, boldly preaching the gospel to both Jews and Gentiles. But as his reputation and influence grew, so did the opposition. Peter found himself in trouble with the authorities, who saw the growing Christian movement as a threat to their power. Eventually, he was arrested and imprisoned in Rome. Peter was condemned to death by crucifixion. But not just any crucifixion, he was crucified upside down because he didn't feel worthy to be crucified in the same manner as Jesus. Now let's turn our attention to Andrew, the disciple who first introduced his brother Peter to Jesus. Andrew, like many of his fellow disciples, didn't have an easy time after Jesus' crucifixion. He faced constant persecution and opposition for his beliefs. Despite these challenges, he continued to preach the gospel, traveling as far as Greece to spread the word of Jesus. But the price for his courage and faith was high. Andrew was eventually arrested by the governor of Achaia, an area of Greece, for his preaching. But even when facing death, Andrew refused to renounce his faith. Instead, he bravely proclaimed his belief in Jesus and was martyred for it. As we continue our journey through the lives of Jesus' disciples, let's shift our focus to Thomas, the doubting disciple who's famous for his skepticism. Like many of his fellow disciples, Thomas didn't have an easy time after Jesus' crucifixion. He faced the same persecution and opposition that the others did, but that didn't stop him from spreading the gospel. Thomas is said to have traveled as far as India to preach the word of Jesus. There, he reportedly faced numerous challenges, including angry mobs and hostile rulers who opposed his message. Despite these challenges, Thomas persisted in his mission, traveling throughout India and even performing miracles. He even converted a local king to Christianity, which led to more persecution and threats on his life. In the end, Thomas met a grisly end when he was martyred for his faith in India. Some accounts claim that he was run through with spears, while others say that he was crushed to death. Regardless, one thing is clear: Thomas was a bold and courageous disciple who paid the ultimate price for his belief in Jesus. Next up in our tour of the disciples' lives is James the Lesser, the son of Alphaeus, who is often confused with James the Greater. James the Lesser was an apostle who didn't receive much attention in the Bible, but that doesn't mean he wasn't important. In fact, he played a vital role in the early Christian church as a leader and preacher. However, James's story also ended in martyrdom. According to tradition, he was stoned to death for his beliefs, proving once again that the early disciples were willing to risk everything for their faith. Moving forward, we come to John, the beloved disciple and the only apostle who was not martyred. John was a fascinating figure in the early Christian church, known for his relationship with Jesus and his role in writing the Gospel of John, as well as the book of Revelation. But his life was not without hardship. John faced persecution for his beliefs and was eventually exiled to the remote island of Patmos. It was there that he received the visions that inspired the book of Revelation, a book that has captivated readers for centuries. After his exile, John returned to Ephesus, where he spent the rest of his life teaching and writing. He's often referred to as the Apostle of Love, for his emphasis on love as a central tenet of Christianity. While John did not meet a violent end like some of his fellow disciples, he faced his own share of hardships and challenges. But he endured, continuing to spread the message of Jesus and cementing his place as one of the most influential figures in early Christianity. Now, let's turn our attention to another disciple, Philip. Philip was one of Jesus' earliest followers, often credited with bringing Nathanael to Jesus. After the crucifixion, Philip set out to spread the gospel in various parts of the world, including Phrygia, Hierapolis, and Syria. He faced persecution for his beliefs, and like many of his fellow disciples, he was eventually martyred. One account claims that he was scourged, thrown into prison, and then crucified upside down. Another says that he was arrested by a Jewish mob and stoned to death. Let's continue with Matthew, the former tax collector and author of the Gospel of Matthew. After the crucifixion, Matthew is said to have preached in Ethiopia and Macedonia. However, his evangelizing didn't go over well in Ethiopia, and he was eventually burned to death for his beliefs. Despite this tragic end, Matthew's Gospel is widely recognized as one of the most important texts in the New Testament, offering a unique perspective on Jesus' life and teachings. Now let's talk about Judas Iscariot, the infamous disciple who betrayed Jesus. After his betrayal, Judas was overcome with guilt and remorse. The Bible tells us that he hanged himself. There are also some alternative accounts of his death. Judas's story serves as a cautionary lesson about the consequences of betrayal and the importance of staying true to one's beliefs. Last but not least, although not a direct disciple, let us consider the remarkable journey of Paul the Apostle, a figure of monumental influence in Christianity. Originally known as Saul of Tarsus, he was born in a Jewish family in Tarsus, in present-day Turkey, and was well educated in the law of Moses. Initially a fervent persecutor of Christians, Paul experienced a profound conversion after a miraculous encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. This encounter not only changed his name from Saul to Paul, but also his heart and mission. Paul became one of Christianity's most ardent missionaries, spreading the teachings of Jesus throughout the Greco-Roman world. His travels, often called Paul's missionary journeys, extended from Jerusalem across Asia Minor and into Europe, establishing several churches and deeply influencing the early Christian movement. He was also a prolific writer, and his letters to the early churches form a significant portion of the New Testament, providing doctrinal guidance and pastoral care. His missionary endeavors culminated in Rome, where he was martyred. According to Christian tradition, Paul was beheaded under the reign of Emperor Nero around the mid-60s AD, sealing his testimony with his blood. His life, from persecutor to proclaimer, remains a powerful example of transformation and steadfast commitment to one's faith. And here were the lives of the disciples of Christ post-crucifixion, as these brave men gave everything for the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. But perhaps their greatest legacy was the enduring message of salvation, love, and hope that they spread across the world. So the next time you think about Jesus' disciples, remember their incredible sacrifices and the lasting impact they had on Christianity and the world as we know it today. Please drop your thoughts in the comments and share this video. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to No Limits Faith for more.